What's going on, folks? Welcome to Parlay. It's been a while. I've been very busy. You can hear my dogs breathing. But I've been very busy over the past few weeks and leveling up my life, having a goal, something to work towards, and not letting any of the negativity get inside me and make me feel bad, right? There's too much negativity out there, and there's a lot of content out there that's very negative as well, very negative stuff. There's been a lot that has gone on in the world since my last videos, and I didn't know what direction I wanted to go with this channel. Thinking about different directions, different avenues that I could reach, and trying to reach as many people as possible. But that's not what I want to do, really. That's not what I really want to do. I want to keep this a positive channel. I want to keep this a very enlightened channel. And it doesn't matter how many people I get on this channel. And what I really want to do is I want to affect the lives of the few. You know, those people that are able to listen, those people that are able to see a different side of life. You know, these are the people that I want to reach. And I don't want to just spin my wheels and try to think of new things to talk about, right? And there's a lot inside me that I can talk about and that I will talk about. And the focus of this channel is freedom. The focus of this channel is living the life that you really want to live. And that's life in general. You want purpose, you want direction in your life, and you want to find meaning in life as well. But what's not good to do is commiserate and to engage in all this negativity that's out there in the ether. And what that essentially does, what all that negativity does, guys, is it's damaging to you. It will get inside you and it will affect your physical state of being. It'll make you sick. It will make you sick. There's so much sickness out there, especially in the West. There's a lot of sickness out there because there's a lack, there's a disparity, there's a social economic disparity in the world that's becoming more and more wide by gap. The gap is getting wider, and more people are finding themselves in despair. But is that it? No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's up here. It's totally up here. You know, it starts up here. And I get it. I get it. Things are getting more and more expensive, and life is getting more and more difficult to live. At least the life that you've become accustomed to. Well, what must you do? Commiserate? And it seems as though that people love to do just that. They love to commiserate. They love to focus on the negativity. And it's doing damage to you. Whether you like to admit it or not, it's doing damage to you. This negativity. And not coming up with any solutions in your life. So what is the answer? What is the answer to all this negativity, all this disparity, all this food insecurity, all this housing insecurity? What is the answer to it? What is the answer? Well, the answer is not engaging in it and limiting yourself and your exposure to it. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? If you want to live a free life, if you want to live a meaningful life, you're going to have to explore other alternatives to living, you know, and not buying in to that kind of system to begin with. Not giving them your power, all right? Not giving them your energy. Having a plan. Okay, tomorrow you're going to have to go back to work. That's fine. But you can go back to your 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with working at 9 to 5. The only thing that's wrong with working a 9 to 5 is not having a plan, not having a plan in place for you to escape that kind of life, that kind of existence that is actually wearing you down. And that's why you feel depressed in the first place, because you're letting it get to you. You're letting that negative energy into you, and it doesn't have an outlet. All you're doing is consuming negativity, and not pushing that bad energy out, not transmuting that negativity into positive energy. So what do I mean by that? Well, you realize and you lean into all the things that are wrong and say, well, you know what? That's motivation for me to change my life. That's motivation for me to do something dynamically different and not repeating the same cycles. And yeah, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to dynamically change your life and the way you live your life. And a lot of us become accustomed to this way of life that isn't serving us. It's not serving you. And I realized long ago, a few years ago, that this life wasn't serving me either. So what I needed to do was I needed to develop a plan, and really think about what I wanted to do with my life, how I wanted to change my life, what direction I wanted my life to go into, what avenue I wanted to explore. And I realized that this life, what it's doing to me right now, is meant to be that way. Because once I get out to the other side, I'm going to realize that, well, life is so much better. And that all my sacrifices and all my hard work wasn't for nothing. It was absolutely to harden me, to change me for the better, and to make me stronger, right? To make me much more strong than I am now. And that's what it's probably doing to you. And you have to accept it, because you're meant to go through this hardship right now. This is where you're meant to be right now, where you are. And it depends on what you're going to do from here on out. It's going to make all the difference. That's going to change your life for the better, and to make you a better person and a stronger person at that. Right? Because they want you to be in this box. They want you to be in despair. They want your energy focused on spinning your wheels and trying to figure out how to get out of poverty in the system that you're in, that does not serve you and that's not meant for you to prosper. So what one must do? What one must do is escape the system. And what do I mean by that more? By taking and removing yourself from the chains that the system puts on you, the weight that it puts on your shoulders, and the servitude it renders you, and working for them and not yourself. Cutting those ties, going off and trailing your own path and carving out your own existence. And that's not very easy. And I'm not going to tell you it is. It's not easy at all. But once you come accustomed to it, once you make it easier for yourself, once you research and you get down to the core of who you are as a human being, and you still have it within you, that core of a human being, that primordial nature, and it's a very spiritual one at that. It's It's very spiritual. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. It's a spiritual nature that you have deep within inside yourself. You are disconnected from that spiritual nature because you are disconnected from yourself. You are disconnected from the source. You are disconnected from the universal creator because you're disconnected from yourself. How do I know that? How do you know that? How can you tell? Well, it's because you're concentrated on everything outside of yourself. You're concentrating on getting that Mercedes S-Class. You're concentrating on, getting that nice house on the hills that's part of an HOA. That's going to enslave you further. You're part of that system that provides you a 9 to 5 rather than a 6 to 6 working for yourself, making plenty more money than you would ever have anything to do with, in allowing you to break away from the system and to create your own infrastructure. Now, what I mean more by that, you see those people that live off the grid. And if you were to go to their house and say, how do you live, of course, you see the way they live, and they don't really go with that. The truth being told that my power went out today at my house, okay? Because we had an electrical storm. And for 2 hours, the power was out at my house. And thank God that it was overcast. There were a lot of clouds in the sky, because if the sun was out, well, I don't have any air conditioning. It might get a little uncomfortable, but that's okay. I've been there before, But it would get a little bit uncomfortable. Now, these people that live off grid, they don't have to worry about that. They still have electrical power. They still have all the amenities they need. They still have cold produce in the fridge, and they don't have to worry about, the power grid going back online so they can have electricity and they can provide the habitat for their house. No, they're completely self-sustainable. They have water. They have everything that they need. Yes, they might live out in the country, but it's easier out in the country to live off the grid, of course. And you can create your own little world. See, this world has been created for you. But you have to pay a prescription. You have to pay a service for electrical, for your phone, for water, for gas, whatever. You have to pay services. Just like some of these new cars, if you want radio, if you want GPS, if you want heated seats, you have to pay a prescription, a subscription for it. Sorry, a prescription. Wow, pretty much the same thing, right? But anyway, you have to pay a subscription for these things. And that's the way we're headed, subscription services. But if you live off grid, you don't have to pay any of that, right? Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy. Well, if you have all day to work on these things, you'll get connected to yourself. You'll get connected to your life because you're participating in it. You're participating in your own life. You're not doing that right now. You're participating in somebody else's life. You're participating in the system that does not serve you. That's what you're doing. Here at the Parlay, we're all about freedom, autonomy, anonymity, happiness, and the pursuit of it. That's what we are founded on here in the West, more specifically the United States or America, right? So much is wrong with society today, and everybody is so focused on validation from the outside. But if you validate yourself, if you're self-actualized, well, they don't want that, because that's a threat. That is a threat. Machiavelli said it best. That is a threat. Somebody that does not need validation. Somebody that doesn't need to be looked at and revered, and will not take position, will not be, you can't be bought. You can't be bought by, the validation of other people, the validation of outside influences. You can't be bought. And that's what they want. They want people to want to be revered. You want to be liked. You want to be looked up to. You want control. You want power. It's what the system wants you to have. Why do you think so many of these politicians, they get in office and all of a sudden things are different? All those things that they told you that they were going to do, they don't end up doing it. That's because they were bought. They were given these positions by these very, very influential and powerful people. So they're beholden to them. And all those things that they told you they were going to do, well, that ended up being scrapped. Now you're not going to do that. You know why? Because we bought you. We paid for you. We put you in this position. We can take you out. Easy. What do you want to do? Do you want to listen to what we tell you to do, or you think you can do it on your own? Right? Yeah. And you end up saying, what did this politician do? Right? They're not doing anything that they said they were going to do. They never did. In my almost 50 years on this earth, have I yet to see one politician say, this is the way it's going to be because I want it that way. Well, that would be terrible, because that person would be, of course, that would be very, very, I would say, scary, dangerous, even. But what would be more dangerous is if they would say, I'm going to do what the people want me to do. Oh, no. The elites would not have that if they can help it. But what they're more afraid of is us coming together. Yes, us coming together against them and telling them, no, we put this person in, and this person works for us, not for you. Right? Oh, what a storm that would create. What a storm that would create. Because all we have to do is come together. But they have us fractured. They have us split in two, one side or the other. Very easy for them to manipulate and control you and me. Yeah. Very easy to do that. The choice is yours. You can live life the way you want to live life. You can be what you want to be within reason, as long as you can obtain that. But so many people want to be millionaires, billionaires, and all of that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all about how you get there and what you do with it that makes all the difference. That will bring you meaning in life. Will bring you meaning in life. The only way you can do that is having oneness with yourself, being at one with yourself. Because if you're at one with yourself, you're at one with everyone else. You're at one with the source. And we're all at one together. And that creates power. That creates influence. That creates might. That creates all kinds of things. That creates integrity. And that's the thing that cannot be bought. And that's the scary part of it. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that they're most afraid of. People coming together as one. And that's, throughout history, has carved huge empires, strong empires, because they started out with that idea, that mentality, that they were going to form an alliance of individuals for the purpose of freedom, and that love, respect, and freedom was at the forefront of the meaning of their fight and their want to carve out an existence in society and be a society of their own. Over time, a lot of things happen. And over time, it gets corrupted. And corrupt individuals end up getting in power and usurping the power and taking away power from the people to serve their own interests. And that's how societies fall, you see. And that's how we're going to fall if we don't realize this soon. And that's how you will fall as an individual if you consume all this negativity that's out there in the ether and all this negative content, because it gets you sick. It takes the power away from you, and it puts power in the elite's hands. You're giving them your power. And that's why I say take your power back. Take your power back. You've got to. If you want to live any kind of life, if you want to have any kind of meaning in your life, you've got to take the power back and claim it. Because if you don't do it, then you're dead before you even die. You're not living your life. You're living the life of somebody else because you're striving for what other people have. You're striving for that Mercedes S-Class. You're striving for that house in the hill in the HOA that's made out of, popsicle sticks and particle board. That fake synthetic existence, that habitat that you pay subscriptions for. Yeah, that thing. You're living a fake life. You're living a fake existence. You're not living your own life. But the thing is, it's not easy to live your own life. But it's not easy to live somebody else's life and what you're doing either. Because it all ends up with you being left with nothing. You're not going to have anything. It's all going to go away. When you expire, your family will be fighting over the remains of everything that you collected in your life. Because what they're going to do is they're going to take it. They're going to argue over your effects, argue over your furniture, argue over your cars, argue over your money that you collected all your life. You might have $2 million and you didn't enjoy any bit of it. And they all argued over it. And at the end of the day, they squandered everything. You see it all the time. Your family members squander it. Everything that you've worked hard for. Now you need to live your life. Your children can live theirs, and it's dependent on them as to the life that they live, not yours. You set them up for their life and for them to take over their life. You set them up. You gave them whatever you gave them. You fed them, you clothed them, you housed them. Now it's up to them. And yes, if they fall, you help them up. Absolutely. But you need to push them along. You need to encourage them. You need to tell them that they can do this. You need to give them perspective. So without perspective is why we're in the position that we're in. Philosophy was taken out of school. A lot of things were taken out of school. Home economics was taken out of school. I remember when they had these things. I had home economics. We had an elective in philosophy. We had these things, but they took these things away, and they took them away so you can be ignorant. They took them away so STAR tests can be, put at the forefront as the importance of the children to learn the curriculum that will, raise the STAR test results so that that district can get more money from the government. These type of things. And it's sad because they're not really focusing on the education that is needed to live a life. It's all about money. It's all about current revenue, recurring revenue. And it's sad. And here we are in a world where so many ignorant people don't have direction. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous for the future. But what you can do is control your controllables. What you can do is control your life and where it's going, the direction it is going. That's what you can do. And what you can do is develop your own infrastructure, your own water, your own electricity, your own sewerage system, everything sustainable, and living a natural life, and getting off of eating this poisonous food, and grow your own food, and stop cleaning yourself with detergents that make you sick. This is the skin here. This is the biggest organ in your body, and it absorbs these chemicals and makes you sick. If you wouldn't put it on your tongue, why then would you put it on your skin? Why would you eat things that aren't designed for you to eat, that have all these chemicals and preservatives and such? And most of these chemicals that we eat here in the United States, you go over to Europe, and if you go through customs with some of this food, they'll take it. I know, because when I traveled to Europe, they were taking, food articles that people were trying to bring into the country. And they're like, why are you taking my food? It's approved by the FDA. They're like, well, it's not approved here. This bread is toxic, and it is illegal for you to have it here. So we're taking it away and we're going to throw it away. We're going to burn it because it's toxic. That's how they think about our food, because it's right. It's true. It's the truth. You're eating toxic chemicals. And I spent almost all my adult life overseas and not eating American food. And when I finally came back to the United States, I wondered why I got sick. I got sick. And for a while I was sick. That's because I was eating American food. I went back overseas and I started eating clean food again. And, I got better. It's no mystery to me anymore. It was then, but it's not anymore. You're getting sick. You're eating sickness. You're consuming sickness. You're listening to sickness. You're looking at sickness. Because everything is based out of fear. You have to remove yourself from that. You don't have to go overseas. You don't have to go to a different country. All you have to do is go off into the countryside and get a plot of land and develop your own infrastructure. Live off of the grid. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm not doing that right now. I'm doing things. I'm getting my life set up right now in some of the, some of my property. I'm going to exercise that portfolio. I'm going to exercise my property portfolio and, make something out of it so I can go off to the countryside and live a clean life. And the rest of my life, of course, I'm going to live off grid because this is not sustainable, and it's becoming more and more unsustainable as the years go by. So please, think about doing that for yourself. Think about where you want your life to go. Maybe it is that you want to live in a big, huge mansion. Well, you can achieve that, absolutely. And some people frown upon others that say, I want to find what I'm passionate about, and they'll say, well, that's stupid because your passion won't make you money. It might. And you see that all the time, people turning their passion into money. So think about that. Think about that. But what you have to do is be able to be self-actualized and create your own infrastructure. And, start building your life around yourself from outside, from inside yourself out and outside in. As within, so without. As without, so within. As above, so below. That kind of thing. Some people think that, and they say that is all bullcrap, but I don't think so. Nope. Everything that I've learned in my life is really in line with that, and the truth therein is in line with that as well. So, positivity, guys, positivity. That's the rule of the day. Positivity. Be positive with anything that you do, all right? And omit positivity. And people and everything is going to detract to you. If you are positive, if you are jovial, there's a lot to be happy about, because really, guys, it's such the odds of you being alive, a human being on the planet Earth, is so far against your favor, and yet here you are. It's easier to win the lottery than you being a human being on the planet Earth. Okay? So think about that. And really, think about that. Happy days. Really, happy days. For the rest of your life should be. Happy days. There's a lot to be thankful for and grateful for. And negativity is rejected. Here on the parlay, we reject negativity. Okay? We talk about negativity. We will talk about it. And we will philosophize on it. And we'll put it in perspective. But we'll transmute it into positive energy. Because that's what we do here. Life is a beautiful thing, guys. If you just embrace that, the world just opens up. The world just opens up. There's no point in any time to be negative about anything, but be serious about things. Pay attention to the things that are negative in nature. Pay attention to it. Give it your honest attention and focus, but turn it into positive. A positive energy, and you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay, and things are going to work out for you. Hard work is right around the corner. Golly, it's hard, but it's exciting, and it should be exciting, and you should invite it into your life. You only have so much time on this earth. Make it count. Okay, make it count. All right. And if you're still here, give me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to my channel. You're going to learn a lot, and you've got a lot to teach me as well. It's about communication. So do yourself a favor. Lift me up. Lift me up in this channel, and it will lift you up, and we can lift each other up. And that's the way it works. Because if you get a channel and you have a lot of good things to say, I'm going to recommend you. Of course, I'm going to recommend you. All right? And for that, guys, peace out.